disbelief that you can't suspend. So undecidedly yours.
I want to get right into this conversation. I'm happy to have a good friend joining me on the podcast tonight. This man is a triple threat when it comes to making music, a producer, a rapper, and a credited songwriter. Let's not waste any time. Connor, my man, what's going on?
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. I know you were traveling when we last spoke on the phone, but you're back in LA now. When we last spoke, you were headed out to New York about a month ago or so now, but why don't we just start there? I know you shout out Cleveland, you shout out 216 in your music. Of course, I know where you're from, but why don't we, let people know where you come from originally, where you live now, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Sam and I went to high school together, actually. Cleveland, Ohio, and then I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston. So I was in Boston for a minute, and then now I'm in Los Angeles. I've been in Los Angeles for 5 years now.
Cool. And how is LA now? Are things really as bad as they make it out to be on the news and in the media?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by bad and what ways, the ways. Yeah. It's definitely a crazy place. But a lot of the portrayals of LA are completely wrong.
So you wouldn't say that, there's the mass exodus of California, a good amount of your friends, they're staying put, they're not leaving you?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, that's all bullshit.
Okay, cool. So let's just get into, you released this project, your last project, Horny Singles in Your Area. Before we continue, do you want to let people know where they can listen to it?
Everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Napster, anything, literally anywhere.
I want to know first, what's the story behind the name of the project? And then second, I know it's only been out for a couple of weeks or so now, but what's the reception been like so far?
Yeah, so the title, Horny Singles in Your Area, I don't know, I just thought that would be a really funny name for an album because it's so ridiculous and so it's like even when I was sending the final files to my manager to put through the distribution and stuff, the email got blocked because it was like a spam filter. It was like Horny Singles in Your Area. They blocked it because they assumed that's spam if anybody is typing Horny Singles in Your Area. I just thought that was funny because it's so stupid. I don't know, and I like I think also a personal thing of just I think presenting myself in an overtly sexual way is because it makes me uncomfortable, or it's I'm afraid of doing that. I'm doing it as a way to face my fears almost. And I think it's funny too. Perception too. Sorry. Or what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, that makes sense, but I don't want to, cut you off. Definitely, how's the reception been over the past couple of weeks?
I mean, it's been good. It's it's a slow grind. I'm not a huge artist already. I have certain songs that do pretty well on the internet or whatever, but it's very different than it's a process. You got to win one fan at a time. There's no cheat codes to it. You really do have to win people over one by one. So, but this is definitely the best reception I have ever received in my career. It's not insanely huge, but it's been nice. It's been awesome.
No, definitely. I'm not sure if you know, but my favorite song from the project is Puzzle Piece. I'm wondering what's yours? Do you have a favorite song from the project?
Puzzle Piece is my favorite too, actually.
Yeah, I have that on repeat, every day. So definitely thanks for putting that one out. One of my favorites. But can you talk a little bit about maybe how you first got into making music? I mean, what was the hip hop or the rap scene like back in Cleveland?
I mean, shit, I've been playing and making music since I was a baby. I come from a musical family. My dad, my brother, my uncle, all drummers. I was playing drums when I was a baby. Whatever. Typical like musician family thing. Um, but also my brother is a producer and has been a producer like since way back then. And he's 12 years older than me. So I was just like I would literally like be 10 years old hopping on his computer and like making beats. Um, but yeah, so I've just always been obsessed with music. It wasn't even like a question whether or not I would pursue it. It was just like, duh, this kid is going to do it. But yeah, I mean, literally, I started releasing music on MySpace in middle school when we were in like 6th, 7th grade. I was releasing music, and um, I wouldn't say I was like a part of a scene until high school when I started putting stuff out and hanging around there's a specific street that obviously you know because you're from Cleveland, but people that don't know, there's this street called Coventry in Cleveland, Cleveland Heights specifically. This street called Coventry was at that time sort of like a cultural hub. Like there was a lot going on on that strip, and specifically this clothing store called Heart and Soul was kind of like my introduction into what the Cleveland music scene was, just through like me hanging out there and like trying to meet everybody that was over there. The owner, well, RIP to Heart and Soul, that store does not exist anymore, but the owner, or one of the co-owners, Vince, DJ Esso, basically just like let me kind of hang out. I would go hang out there and meet a bunch of these people that I was basically a fanboy of. Like I was just a fan of these like rap groups like Kiel and Smokescreen, like Cleveland-based artists, and I would just go and try to like soak up game basically at like whatever 14, 15 years old. Anyway, that's a long-winded response, but that was sort of what started the process of me like being a part of a music scene at all.
No, definitely. It sounds like it's sort of, well ingrained into who you are, your human nature. So, I'm going to be honest. One of the things that I did to get ready for this conversation was read some of the comment sections under your posts on Instagram. And I noticed that a good amount of people, they comment about how they found you and your music sort of randomly, but specifically through the Explore page. So clearly, you figured out, the algorithm game when it comes to working the platform, as far as, based on what I can tell, being able to reach new followers and having some success with the engagement. So I'm curious, how do you stay on top of the social media trends that change so fast when every day you're trying to put out new music, reach new people, and grow your audience?
I mean, it's twofold. In some ways, yes, I do. I feel like I have a good grasp of how to make the algorithm work in my favor. But at the same time, if I really, really had it down, I feel like I would be in a very different place. If that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would be on a whole other level. But yes, to an extent, yeah. I mean, that's where a whole bunch of people have found me, is because of the algorithm, mostly on Instagram. And that's what's ironic too, is I started this process of the daily song. I've been doing these daily songs for now. Today was day 318, and I started them because of TikTok. But the real growth and any real benefits I've gotten have come from Instagram, which is crazy because that wasn't even the intention. But it just sort of turned into that. I don't know. My philosophy about finding an audience on social media is really just like, of course, there is the strategy of playing to the trend, playing to and responding to trends, and of course, I do that to an extent. Maybe I'll sample a song that's popular, or maybe I'll reference something that just happened in pop culture. But I don't think that it is a very like, it's not as fruitful as you would think, where like you can have something do numbers, but it's really hard for it to translate into people actually giving a shit about you. So like me, so like, or even here's an example. So I did that Law and Order SVU song.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So I did a Law and Order SVU joke meme song in 2020, just like for fun. It was funny. It went viral on Twitter, but not really viral anywhere else. Like, not really. Sort of, not really. Um it went viral on Twitter, not crazy viral, but hundreds of thousands, whatever. Um there's a difference between like going viral and just like getting a bunch of eyes on you really quick, and like people giving a shit about you and wanting to actually like continue to consume.
No, yeah, for sure, for sure.
So that song went viral, and of course I got some followers out of it, but it was more just like, oh, I like this video. It wasn't like, oh, I like this guy, I want to follow this guy and support him all the time. It was like, oh, okay, this is funny, I like this. But no one really gives a shit beyond that. So, and I remember thinking after that happened, being like, damn, like, that's great. This did some numbers. That's cool. But how am I ever going to get this type of reaction off of something that is just me doing me and not me like fucking around and like joking all the time? Like, I was like, how the fuck am I going to get this type of reaction off of my music, my actual music? And I think the decision to do these dailies was the best possible thing, just because it removed like the algorithm and everything feels like this illusion. It feels like this thing that you can't really interact with. It feels like this thing you don't have control over. But me posting every single day and seeing what happens every single day made it not a mystery anymore. It's like, okay, this is how it works. Like, I don't know. It's just this weird, it's really weird. It's a weird thing. I've now like, I don't think there's a real point in creating for the purpose of the algorithm. There's a point in creating consistently, which helps the algorithm. So the consistency is what feeds the algorithm. I don't know. You know.
I do, and it's funny because as I'm, just coming over 1 year of doing the podcast, one of the things that I sort of, question or sort of battle with is the idea of consistency versus entertainment, and which one for, the purpose of what I'm trying to do is going to be more important for, let's just call it longevity. So I definitely understand, where you're coming from. The algorithm game is an interesting one when it, comes to trying to grow your audience and, like we're talking about, reach as many people as possible. But
Yeah.
my next question.
If I could add one more thing on that too.
Yeah, sure.
So one thing that I realized going from my previous internet persona and like music persona to where I'm at now, the understanding of, so I used to do goofy videos that wouldn't even be me making music. Maybe it was slightly related to music, but it would be completely just a dumb fucking video because that's what people do on the internet to try to go viral. I was doing it just because it's fun, and of course, like, yeah, of course I wanted to do numbers, but I was like, okay, I just wanted to make content, period. But once I realized that like people started thinking that I was just a guy trying to be a comedian and not a musician because I was just making content that wasn't me making music. I was like, that's a problem. So now I was like, okay, if I'm doing daily songs, I don't give a shit if this is the like absolute like most like perfect thing for the algorithm, or like if this does crazy numbers. I would rather someone come to my page and be like, I know exactly what the fuck this dude is about. I know this is a guy. Okay, he is a guy who writes these songs and produces these songs and plays these instruments and does whatever the fuck he wants. That is more valuable to me than like me having a funny video that goes viral and then afterwards me explaining, hey, also I do music.
So, you're using social media in a unique way to differentiate yourself from other artists that I've seen. We've known each other for a while now, and I know you've always been early to the different social media platforms. So, can you just talk a little bit about where you initially got this idea from to make a new song idea every day and share it on social media? And I think I saw that you just started streaming on Twitch recently too, more of you actually creating the song behind the scenes. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, so the origin, I didn't really have a big plan. I saw on TikTok a bunch of people basically becoming famous overnight, doing little 10-second loops. It was usually musicians playing, jamming with themselves or whatever, and shit like that. And I was like, oh, I could do that. I need to make more content. Let me just do one. And I did one and just did some vocals randomly. I didn't really think much of it. I was like, all right, I'm going to just do one of these. And then I was like, well, I should be consistent. So I did another one, and then it just snowballed. And now I'm on day 318. So it wasn't like a big master plan per se. I mean, it definitely turned into a thing, because I mean, even in the first like 20 days or so, people were so confused. They were like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? Like, I mean, people were into it, they were loving it, um but they were like, what the fuck, what is this? Is this an album? Did you pre-plan all these? And I'm like, no, I'm just doing these every day. Yeah, and then probably 6 7 months into the process, I started streaming on Twitch. Or I don't know how many months, but a month or so ago, I started streaming on Twitch every day, or pretty much every day, of the process, and just like showing myself working on it, and allowing people to see the process and ask questions and hang out as I do it, which introduced a whole other level of stress.
And I think, the natural next question is just in general, where does this inspiration come from? Because I know a lot of people are probably scratching their heads. You've been doing this now for over 300 days without skipping a day. So, yeah, how do you come up with this?
I don't know. It's abstract. The creative mind is confusing. I People ask me how I don't get writer's block, and I'm like, I do. I mean, people's idea of writer's block is completely wrong. It's like you, it's not, it's not a stopping point. That is just a point that you have to like. It's a point that you're going to reach no matter what, but you have to find a way to push through it. And I have found ways to push through it, and sometimes it's like torture, and every day is really fucking difficult. But I kind of work in a very abstract, almost like I almost work backwards conceptually, where I mean, of course I'm building the track first. I'm building the beat and the instruments and whatever. I'm doing that first to like get the vibe to build off of, and then lyric wise and vocal wise, it's very open. It could be anything. I'm just trying to find something that catches my ear. I'm just trying to find anything. Maybe it's a word, it's a phrase, it's something that is catching my ear that I can build around. And a lot of times that's not even it, it's not even the first line. I'll think of something and then that's like the final line of the song or something, but it's just like some little tidbit that I can pull something out of, that I can build a concept around. That's more what I'm looking for. And just me being open to it being anything is what allows me to do it. And also being okay with it not being the best thing of all time every day.
And I'm curious, do you ever feel any pressure when it comes to people maybe asking you to drop the full version of a song after maybe you've only posted the 15 or 20-second clip of the idea?
I feel that pressure every day. I see the comments, I read the messages. It's people hitting me up every single day being like, "Yo, where's this one? Where's this one? Where's that one?" And there's so many that it's really overwhelming, that I have a lot that I have to extend and finish. But it's also, I mean, when I see that, I'm mostly just grateful that anybody even gives a shit, because there were times in my career, of course, and a lot of people have trouble getting people to even care enough to even look at the first idea. So the fact that they're hearing this snippet and coming back like weeks, months later, being like, "Where's that one? I want that," is super flattering and exciting to me, and keeps me going. It keeps me excited to make more.
And I'm curious. You've got some of the most creative and abstract music videos that I've seen from an artist, and I noticed that you've connected a couple of times with this video director, Midnight Nelly. Can you talk a little bit about how you two linked up? I mean, do you plan on putting out videos for any of the songs from this last project?
So Ernie, who has multiple handles, Late Night Nelly and Band-Aid Nelly, he is. We've just been friends. He went to Cal Arts in like right outside of LA with my friends that went to Cal Arts, and we just became friends, and we have similar sensibilities and sense of humor and interests in creative weird shit. A few years ago I did the song called MySpace with the music video of like me in the MySpace, whatever. So that was the first thing that we did, and it was very low key. It was just like my friends Victor and Dimitri had a green screen, and Victor has a nice camera, so it was like, oh, like let's just shoot something. And Ernie knows how to do like 3D, like VFX graphics stuff. And I just was like, Ernie, you want to try to do this shit? And obviously he went crazy and made the sickest video. And that just turned into this ongoing working relationship, that, I mean, I definitely plan on working with him for a long time. I think that's an important thing too, that's overlooked often, is having a actual connection and working relationship with the people who are helping you present what you're doing. Is like, this is a music video for my shit. This isn't like a separate thing. This is like really a calling card, so it has to be really on point and stick with the vision. So having somebody like Ernie who is down for these crazy fucking ideas that I have, and then he has even crazier ideas, it just becomes this like beautiful collab.
No, definitely. I'm looking forward to you guys to connect again, and for any of the upcoming music videos that you put out. So I'll keep my eye opened and on that. Now, I'm curious on the project that you put out before Horny Singles in Your Area, Attempt 3. You have a song called Mercury that I think you released as a single, maybe before putting out the project. But if you can remember, Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to make and put out that record?
Yeah, that's another one. Well, that's my biggest song. So I don't know. It was just another daily song. I did one. I didn't remember even making it. All of these are a blur to me. I have all of the behind the scenes film, everything, all the time. And I went back and watched the footage, and I remember it was on my friend Raf's birthday. And it was also on the day I made that on the day that the extended version of my song Ozone was released too, which is a funny thing because Ozone was the other biggest song before that. Um, but I don't know. I mean, my process is not as like, I'm not coming at it with like, oh, here's this like pre-thought out idea. It's like I'm just kind of feeling it out. And I remember posting the Mercury snippet and being like, no one's gonna fuck with this. This is kind of whack, whatever. And then all of a sudden that gets the biggest response out of anything I've posted in this entire series. That one has the most out of any of them. Yeah, so that was the first one when I started to like really start to gain more followers. That was the song that did it. And it just kind of it's still growing. It's still growing. It's over 100,000 on SoundCloud. It's like about to hit 100,000. I think tonight on Spotify it'll hit 100,000. That's just completely organic. I haven't done anything to like, I'm not doing like Spotify promotion or like it's like all organic. So it's fucking awesome.
And speaking of promotion, marketing, things like that, based on what I can see, it looks like you're doing this all independently. So what's that process been like as far as getting your music out, distribution, the whole sort of back end that goes along with being an artist?
Yeah, I mean technically, yeah, I'm independent. I I mean in terms of distribution, it just goes through, so my manager, his name's Taylor, works at a distribution company called In Grooves, which is under Universal. And that basically gives me the ability to, he can kind of just put my shit right through, and he has a lot of control over all of that, all of the distribution, anything distribution related. He can pretty much just like make it happen, which is great. So that's been really nice because obviously I've always just had to do it myself. Um, so it helps to have him there, but it doesn't really help with like on the marketing standpoint. It's like the marketing has to be completely me. It's like he can be the one to, okay, he's gonna make sure it's on Spotify, Apple Music, all these places, but I have to be the one to figure out how I can get people to actually listen to the shit. Um, and that's social media.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, on this last project, when we talk about inspiration and lyrics in the song Heights, you have a line where you say,
Somebody asked me how I got so much soul. Bitch, I'm from Cleveland, that's OHIO.
I just want to say, before we get out of here, thank you for putting on for the city that we grew up in. You've really been doing your thing, putting out really great music during a time when the world really needs these positive vibes. So, again, thank you. And just a couple more, being that you've lived in LA now for about 5 years, I'm wondering, do you have any sentimental feelings towards the Staples Center changing their name to Crypto.com Arena? I know off camera, you and I have talked about NFTs before and crypto a little bit. So just wondering what you think about all of that.
Real quick on the, somebody asked me if I got so much soul line. Is somebody literally asked me that I played a show on Halloween. I threw a show on Halloween in LA, and this dude that I don't know came up to me and was like, how like how do you get that much soul? And I was like, bro, I'm from Cleveland. That's where it came from. But yeah, the Staples Center, crypto.com center, that shit is crazy to me. But it's just also like, even, I mean, we're used to it, obviously, the Staples Center, that name, but it's literally the same fucking thing. It's just a big ass company buying the naming rights. It's not like Staples Center sounds like a stupid name, but we're just used to it. But we're just used to it, and that is, that's American capitalism, baby. I mean, the crypto.com center is really terrible. I'm more like, I don't really give a shit about the fact that it's crypto, whatever, like, or the fact that it's crypto.com even, but just the name crypto.com center is not a good name. When in Cleveland, so the Gund Arena turned into Quicken Loans Arena. Quicken Loans is a terrible name, but at least it could be called the Q. But now it's the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Terrible. Worst name in the whole league, I think. Terrible.
No, I was definitely, wondering where that came from, sort of out of left field. All of a sudden it's just like, oh, this arena that we've known for all of our lives, Staples Center, Kobe Bryant, you associate the two. It's like, oh, we're going to change to crypto.com. But I guess it's sort of fitting with the times, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But the last question I had for you before we get out of here, going back to that same song, Heights, you have a line about having, 1,000 more songs still left in the tank. And, I'm looking forward to you putting those out. But outside of your music, is there anything else that you want to let people know about? Anything else that you're working on before, we get out of here?
That's hard. I mean, music is the main thing. I am definitely going to be releasing NFTs, and if you're a listener and you hate NFTs, you can just forget that I said that, and you don't need to yell at me. I don't give a shit. A lot of people, anytime you say anything about NFTs on Twitter, you just get just totally destroyed. But whatever, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna make some NFTs. I mean, those are the only things that are like worth promoting for me. Just my music, my dailies, whatever. I mean, meanwhile, it's like I've been writing like screenplays and stuff. I'm hoping to get some of these like TV shows and movies made, which is people are gonna be like, oh, how are you gonna fucking, I'm gonna fucking do that shit. So I wrote I have like multiple scripts. It's fun. So, and yeah, I'll probably get into some acting, all that.
Well,
Yeah, I don't have anything really to plug other than my music.
no, it's all good. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to let people know sort of, anything else that you're working on, anything that you're looking forward to in the new year. But I just want to say again, thank you for, spending some time with the podcast tonight. It's a great conversation. I'm looking forward to anything and everything that you have to put out, and keep up the great work. This has been another episode of Black Man Into the Wild. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.